Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you guys, and I'm honored that you reached out for the privilege. I'm from Sumter, South Carolina. I served in the Army 7 years active duty, got out in 2015, and then I served in the reserves from 2015 up until 2020 of last year. I'm still kind of in the reserves, but I'm in IRR. I've deployed a few times, like many in the military. I started boots on ground logistics last April. I was actually contracting overseas in Qatar. And, once the pandemic hit and everything like that, I started to see people was struggling. Some people was getting let go. So I had to find another avenue to basically, free myself and find the freedom that I want. Given the fact that I was overseas contracting, it wasn't necessarily hard because I already have a lot of connections through like LinkedIn and Facebook and, just prior interactions with people. I'm a people person. So it's easy for me to connect and, just even interact if it's not dealing on the business side, I kind of gain certain friendships and I just happen to always get those type of connections with people, random people, and they'd be like, "Hey, well, I do this," and I'd be like, "Well, I'm interested in doing this," or I do this," and they'd be like, "Well, maybe I can help, and maybe I can help you," type of deal. So it's just like general conversations and networking. Networking has been key, even while overseas. Everything's online. So starting the business, bank account, everything I did online. I was literally in my office one day, and a former um, a former supervisor in the military reached out to me because like even though I was overseas, I was like helping fixing people credit. I was doing a lot of things while still overseas away from my family. And he reached out. He was like, "Hey, I see your hustle. I see your grind." And then he was like, "Let's start a freight brokerage company." And this was around the time COVID broke out. So I was like, okay, that's my start to do what I need to do for myself. And then as I did my own research, everything kept pointing to, hey, you need to have your own insurance, own authority, your own everything. So I just, without a plan, figured out what I needed to do as far as like the licenses and business registrations and everything. And I did that all in my office within like a day. Got the business structure formed, then got the business bank account, got the insurance and everything. But it was for actually for freight brokering. That's how I got started. So once I jumped into that, I immediately just went out and got the website done. I searched other companies, trucking companies, freight broking companies, and just kind of mimic what they had. Because you don't want to reinvent the wheel if it's already invented. So a lot of times people, try to go in and just reinvent the wheel when the blueprint is already there. You just need to follow it and, make it your own. Um, so that's pretty much, how I did it. I did everything online. It wasn't hard. The only thing that was a struggle was the time zone difference because I was like 18 hours ahead. So trying to connect with people at times was a little bit hard, but it was a lot of late nights trying to stay up and talk to people like, hey, what do I need to do for this? Or do I need to do for that? Or just being on YouTube, watching videos or, just Googling stuff and, taking my free time when I'm not in the gym working. Um, at my desk, if I had some free time, I would just look up things and just kind of do my own research and not necessarily pay for a class to tell me how to do it. I just kind of self-taught and, educated myself. Yes. B.O.G is a shipping liaison company. So basically, we operate, as the middleman to, excuse me, to move goods from point to point, whether it's gaining the customers who need shipments or once we gain the customers on the shipments, we find other carriers to fulfill those needs, or we hire on our own carriers to fulfill those needs. Now with freight brokering, what you do basically is sort of like you you gain the customer, say Home Depot, right? That's your customer. They tell you, well, we got 12 shipments a week, of it could be mulch or dog food or batteries, whatever the case may be. But we have this many volume of freight going out. What can you do to help us, move it? So, we figure out where it's going, the origin and the destination. We figure out the miles, how much factor in how much fuel it would take for a truck with the weight of the load, what type of commodity, whether it's dry van, flatbed, um, gooseneck, step deck. We figure out what means needs to move that freight, and then we come up with a quote, and then basically we put it out there what we call what would be the load boards, or we already have carriers, that we're working with. Like, hey, I got 12 loads going from Charlotte, North Carolina to Dallas, Texas. It's going 7 days a week. It's one shipment, it's one way. Can you help me out? I can get it. I can let you do it for this rate. Then where you fit into where you can make some money and make sure drivers are happy and you can keep getting more customers. That's all freight brokering is. You just say, hey, you need help moving, these 7 loads a week. I can do it, and I can do it for this price. So you sell yourself, you sell your business, you sell what you can do. So that's my aspect of what freight brokering is. Somebody else may have this long, drawn up, Webster's dictionary type, definition. But me, I like to break it down to where people can understand. On a government contracting side of the house, you can leverage your status, with them as far as like, being minority owned, veteran owned, black owned, or whatever the case may be. Like, you can leverage that to help you gain these contracts. Because sometimes there's set aside contracts where you can be like, hey, you put your bid in, and because you're a disabled veteran or veteran owned business, they can look at you first and kind of select you. Or you can be sole sourced out to where you don't have to bid to compete with these big name companies. You can be selected based off of them searching in the database, and they find your company in the area, you see what you can do, and they can automatically offer you that contract. They can reach out to you without you having to really bid, but you need to have that certification to even be seen. So that's one of the perks and the beauties of having that, that title, I guess you want to say, or the certification, because it just helps separate me, from other small businesses. Even though it's probably like a million others out there like me, there isn't a me out there. So once you get your business bank account now, if you want to be in the transportation industry, if you want to do freight brokering, you need a freight broker's license. So you need a DOT and motor carrier number for that. So you have to, you can apply through many ways. You can go do it yourself through the DOT website to apply for your motor carrier and DOT authority, or you can go through sites like, which I went through, DAT. It's a well-known transportation site where you can look at load boards and stuff like that, but they help you file your paperwork and everything. And at the time, I didn't know anything about filling out the paperwork, and I kind of just jumped off the porch and just went and did it. Once I found out that I needed my own, and it started just clicking, like, let me just go ahead and do my own thing and get it, and still partner with who came to me and presented it. But I could be like, hey, I already got it done. Now you be my partner, so I'll be your partner, even though it's the same thing. I just kind of try to play chess with it and not checkers. So you need you need your authority, your motor carrier authority, and your DOT number. Once you find insurance, then your DOT and your motor carrier number goes active. Then you can start, brokering freight, reaching out. You can do those cold calls, like a million cold calls to different companies to be like, hey, are you looking for new, brokers to help you move some of your freight? Or you can just ask, hey, do you need help, moving freight, whatever the case may be. You can do your pitch. I forgot what it's called, your introduction pitch, whatever. You can introduce yourself. This is what I can do. Now, if you want to go on the motor carrier side, as far as like a truck driver, box trucks and things of that goes over the road or regional, you need to do the same thing, but you have to have a vehicle. So whether it's a pickup truck, your truck, or a car, you need to have a vehicle in order to get insurance for your DOT number and your MC authority to go active. once you get your certificate, your insurance is filed, your BCO3, your MC90 comes back, which is your carrier authority or your freight broker authority. Then you can start being active. You can actually go out there and pick up freight if you're a carrier, or you can make those calls because you're active in the system. They can look at you. Now, one of the things that hinders a lot of new businesses starting out is a lot of these companies don't want to work with new businesses starting out. So going back to having that disabled veteran owned business status, it helped me get through the door, because when I was calling companies to register with like JB Hunt and Landstar and CH Robinson, I kind of put that up front, like, hey, my name is Quenton Bracey. I'm a small disabled veteran owned company based out of Elgin, South Carolina, and that was like my introduction. I started with that so they know that I'm a veteran owned business. And even though my authority wasn't active for 90 days, they allowed me to kind of wiggle my way in the door, like, okay, well, you're a disabled veteran owned company, so we'll let you come on, under these type of restrictions, but you can book freight with us and, go from there. But starting off with the freight broker side, it was extremely slow, like extremely slow. I finally got my authority, active like last June after starting the company in April. I had to find the right insurance company. I had to wait. It's like a waiting period of like 30 to 90 days for your paperwork to even be filed. And then it comes back saying, hey, now you got 60 days to get insurance. So once your paperwork goes through the DOT, the FMCSA, once it goes through all that and comes back, it takes like 30 to 90 days. It just depends on how backed up they are. Then you have to look for insurance. Then you have 60 days. So you got like 100 and what, I'm not good at math, 180, 120 days for the whole process. Like it's like a 3 to 6 month process for your authority and everything to go active. And then you can get out there and actually do things. But even then, a lot of these companies with freight brokering, they want you to be in business for at least like a year or two. So, that was my biggest hurdle to try to overcome. So once I seen that was moving extremely slow, it just hit me. I was like, why not go on the carrier side? I used the same DOT and MC number. I just had to wait for my carrier side to go active. And I was like, well, I can start picking up freight for these shippers. And then I can go back later on, like, hey, we picked up, a numerous amount of freight for you. We moved these many loads. So, can we take on this account full time? So therefore I just backdoor the freight broker industry by going the carrier route. So I went forward, but then I came backwards. So I went forward with freight brokering, and then I turned around and went back to carrier just to come back to freight brokering, where I'm at now. So now both sides of the house is running. I would have told myself, start on the carrier side first and then go back and do the freight brokering, because that was ultimately my foot in the door. And I got my authority started, like I said, last June when it went active. The company started in April. My freight brokering authority got active in June, and I didn't get my first customer until 2 weeks ago for freight brokering. So it's a long process. You know what I'm saying? It can be slow unless you already connected with someone who can be like, hey, I'll let you co-broker these loads with me. Like they're already established, but they have a high volume of loads they need to get moved. So they'll bring you in and be like, hey, you could be my agent. But then being someone's agent up under someone helps you gain customers where they'll directly deal with you. And then you can branch off from them and be like, hey, I'm doing my own thing now, but you already have those accounts. They deal with you, they know with you, so they'll keep working with you. That's another thing I would have told myself, partner with somebody, because it's strength in numbers. Find someone who's already doing it and kind of get up under their wing. You can still get your authority active. You can still get your company started, and then your clock starts ticking to where you've been established for 90 days or whatever the case may be. But you utilize someone else who's already started. So the main things that I've learned from the Army would be discipline. It I have the discipline to get up and do what I need to do, and I have the discipline to basically stay focused. And I have the integrity to be honest with people. You guys say you checked out my website, correct? So I'm pretty sure you guys read up on the mission statement and everything like that. Like, we instilled the Army core values within our mission statement and our values. That's what we're built off of, because essentially, I guess you can say America is built off those same things. Honor, duty, respect, integrity, personal courage, selfless service. We built that within the organization, and I say we because it's not just me alone. Yes, I did get it started, and it started off with a close person that I was in the military with. So we are the founders, and based off of my military experience, that's what always just stuck with me. The Army core values, through the good and bad, that's what always stuck with me. So I like integrity. Like, I just like being honest with drivers. I like being honest with customers. I feel it's our duty to, continue servicing these customers, and servicing these drivers and giving them opportunities, and, to make a living and getting out there on the road. We have the personal courage to keep putting boots on ground. That's what we built off of. We just we honor our customers, and we value them. So start there. Got started. I just did it. I know where I want to be, and I know what I need to do to get there. I guess you can call that a plan, but I just know I know my vision. I know where I want B.O.G to be, and the type of person I am. I don't have to have a plan, but I can figure it out along the way. But I want to remain small but act big. I can be a small company, but I want to act big like these major carriers, which that's what I'm trying to do. And I want to keep putting myself out there, putting B.O.G out there. I want to become a household name, to where people are calling my company for things that they need, or these big name corporations and companies are reaching out like, hey, what can you do to help? We would like to partner with you and do and on this type of project, or whatever the case may be. um like, I look forward to just growing and networking, speaking with businesses like you and helping others. One thing that I am trying to get rolling is where I create a pilot program with the military, to where soldiers that's getting out, they go through, I believe it's the Soldier for Life program now. It used to be called A Captain. When I got out, it was called A Captain, but now it's called the Soldier for Life program, to where we can come speak to the soldiers that's getting out, and basically how it can help us expand. Where I do want to get into warehousing, we can talk to them and bring them in, train them up to where they can open their own warehouse, and then we can start like functioning as a hub for these companies and start moving freight directly from us. Or we could be a storage facility for freight that's coming in and everything like that, and we can start exporting overseas and importing and getting things of that nature. And then also, I'm writing up a proposal to go with the state, to where we can start taking homeless veterans off the street, and then kind of rehabilitate them into society, fix their credit, find them a place to live. But then also, we give them a job, to where we can train them up to, get their CDL, or, we train them up with warehousing, and then we can put them in place to where they already have a job, they have a place to stay, and then we can help them with transportation, getting to work, and basically just get them back into society and not be out on the streets, to where not just homeless veterans, but the homeless in general. Because here in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, like, we do have a good bit of homeless people out there. So I know it would just take, someone just be like, hey, just speaking to them, well, I got something for you, just come with me. Then, we can have them stay at the warehouse. They have showers, food, and everything. They don't have to worry about getting to work. We can train them up to get their CDLs, because I want to jump into training drivers to have their CDLs. So we're a one-stop shop. And then we also, like I said, we're getting the homeless off the street and providing a way for them to get back into society. That's something that I'm in the works of doing. And then I would like to work with the VA with that, and also, the different branches of the military in different states, so that way we can grow and expand. So that's another way I can get back to the community while still expanding. This is a great opportunity. It's my chance to talk to those like myself, that are veterans, that's gotten out the military, or even still in the military and transitioning out. Like I would just continue to say, just do it. Like just go for it. If you just get started, at least getting your LLC, that doesn't mean you have to act like a business. That doesn't mean you have to, do everything business minded. At least you got started. So a lot of people, that's their issue, getting started. People say they don't know where to start. The first thing in business is legalizing it. So start there.